Hi, guys. Thanks for coming over to the Nocturnal feeding with James from Fish Room Fever and me, Chattanooga Ed. And we're going to just keep rolling the chat from the last stream. But I brought up a couple of things that I wanted to do. You know what? I don't have my chat yet. So, James, will you say hello to people while I get my chat up?
Absolutely. Appreciate y'all being here tonight. As far as a second ago, we've got Anthony's Fishy Friends, Medul saying Chevy Fish, Lisa and the Cult Gym, John Cox, Tim Carter, Rocco's Fish Room, Sandy Dowdy. Get my chat to roll here and we can keep on scrolling. Deb Haldy, Rico Stan, S, good to see him. Mike's Aquatics and Things, Pepin Creek Aquatics, Geek Boy, Pegasus Arena, Tank Top Tropics, John Cox, hello again. Gina Fridge, it jumped on me. The Zen Ginger, Danikin Aquatics, Delilah's Critters, Bird Garden, and a whole bunch of other people that I just missed because it jumped. That's awesome. 50 people watching, 33 thumbs ups. Let me encourage you real quick. If you're coming over from the Fish Room Fever stream that we just ended, you've never been on Ed's channel before, hit that subscribe button for me. Ed's my buddy. He's an awesome guy. He does a great show. He's got some great videos. Just put one out recently. And he's just shy of 1,000 subscribers. He's got his watch hours, but he's looking to be able to stream from his cell phone when we go to events and when he goes to fish stores. So help him out. Give him a subscription. I know you won't regret it. I certainly do not.
That would be awesome. I really appreciate it. I lost 2 subs today. I think I said that maybe earlier, but oh well. It's probably, just the drop off. They're constantly dropping people off. But I gained 2 subs the day before, so I was like all excited.
Gotta love it.
Oh well. Well, we can carry over whatever we were just talking about. It was all super and fun. I appreciated, we were talking a little bit about the CPDs. I got my 3 CPDs from a local fish store that I absolutely loved that decided to shut down, and they're going to start working from home and do shows and things instead. And they're super great people. But I was like buying some of their tanks, and there was just like 3 CPDs left. And I mean, I wanted the tank and they just left them in there.
Right.
So I ended up with them that way. I ended up getting a bunch of bizarre things. I ended up getting my Hercules snails that I absolutely love. And I didn't even know they were in one of the tanks. And I also got 1 black neon tetra. And that little guy has been amazing. I have him in with my betta fish. And my betta chases him every day and can't come close. It's like Fat Albert chasing a rabbit or a cheetah.
Right.
And it's so funny because the little guy, there's lots of hiding spots. But he'll like come over and like hover in front of the betta, waiting for him to chase him. When I first put him in there, I wanted to buy more black tetras and I can't find them anywhere.
Right.
But when I first put him in that tank, he was always hiding from the betta. But he's totally realized that poor guy is so slow. He doesn't have a prayer. It's real funny because I sprinkle the dried bloodworms in the top.
Right.
And as the betta's up there, the little tetra goes. I love watching him. But he's getting fat. He's ate a lot more bloodworms than he probably should. So hopefully it doesn't catch up with him.
That is great. So real quick, of course, we've got a lot of awesome people in the chat. It's a lot of awesome conversation. But Emily Stevens said, I just subbed if it matters. It does matter. And thank you, Emily. I appreciate all the other thank yous to her in the chat. Along with people like, our Canuck friend, where did he go? I just saw him. He came back to say hello to us.
That's awesome. I love hockey.
Thank you very much for that.
I've never been able to beat a Canadian hockey team, though. Any hockey team I've been on, like a traveling team, Canadians always destroy us. The Michigan guys did too. The Wisconsin, the Northerners would destroy us. The farther south we would go, we'd destroy them. It's kind of funny.
Gotta love it. I did find it. Freshwater Canuck says, LOL, I just subscribed Chattanooga Ed, but usually on IG, I would like 100-gallon with 100 CPDs, LOL. That would look awesome. I'm a big fan of the tanks that have massive schools of fish. It's all the same thing. I don't think that's really done enough in the hobby. You don't really see it that often. I think that would look amazing.
Yeah, that's I have like a 125 that just has a bajillion mollies in it, just because I like that idea type of thing. But for
And
sure.
Tim Carter, my condolences, says, missed the last 15 minutes of your stream. Just lost a dragon blood that I've had for 5 years. I'm sorry about that. I know that is rough. Hate losing fish. It stinks. It stinks. So I'm sorry about that, Tim.
Yeah, I had 2 losses today. I had a molly we call Mama Molly because she likes to pop out babies, and one of my huge LRB mollies that puts out a lot of babies passed away too today. So it's always a bummer when you see those big mamas go.
I tell you what, I see my favorite cheerleader in here, Bird Garden. He mentioned we switched seats earlier. We got 67 watching and 55 likes. Let's go with the thumbs up. Rack, I appreciate the support.
Rack is awesome.
He is awesome guy. So you want to talk about shrimp tonight, Ed?
I do. You know what? Before we do, I just want to mention Gina French. I still have your rock, and I haven't sent it out. We've been having a little trouble finding your email or your address, but as soon as we find it, then
or if you want to re-email it, because here's what I do when I get sticker requests. So that I know that I've sent the stickers, I archive that stuff, and I can't always necessarily find it once I've archived it. I know I play the tech guy between the two of us, but some things are not my strong suit, and sometimes things just disappear when I move them. So if you wanted to re-email me, that would be great, because I've looked and searched, and I've done the whole search, your name, search, information, and I can't find the darn thing.
But you know what? You're a genius for archiving those. As soon as I mail the thing, I just delete it. And so I'm sorry, folks. I don't keep any of your addresses. I mail it, and then it's like, okay, that one's out of the way. This one, I shouldn't say out of the way, but this one's done. And I'm sorry, folks. But I should start doing that. I should start dropping people's stuff in a special folder or something so I can remember, or if I ever have to go back for a tool.
It gets fun finding that stuff.
Well, we were going to talk a little bit about shrimp, freshwater shrimp today. And I didn't do a lot of research on this. I kind of tried to look for my favorite shrimp. And I'm not going to say red cherries. Oh, Nico came up to visit, and he's gone. I guess. Oh, he wants to play with the poppers. The new smell in the room. But James has a lot of information and everybody else here has a lot of information too. But let's start off with the 2 basics. Most people, the 2 big nano shrimp that people are getting are Carradina and Neocarradina.
Absolutely.
They're both considered easy, but I believe the Neocarradina is more easy. And I'm going to go into it a little bit. And I'm not saying anything against Carradina. They're beautiful shrimp and awesome. They're awesome. Now he wants to. I have cookie cutters because after tomorrow I plan on doing sugar cookies, but I'm going to do shark sugar cookies, octopus, and angelfish. And I thought he wanted to sit where they were, but I guess not. I guess he just wants to sniff those. Sorry, guys. But the biggest difference between the Carradina and the Neocarradina is your pH, in my opinion. Your pH for your Carradina has got to be really low. You want it a soft water. So it's like 5.8 to 6.9 is my opinion. I mean, what do you think, James?
That sounds about right. Water parameters is definitely the biggest difference. pH, then I've noticed people focus a lot more on TDS with Carradina than Neocarradina. There this engineer mentioned TDS as well. So that's kind of a big thing. With the Neos, they tend to be more tolerant to what's commonly found in our tanks anyway, so to speak. Whereas the Carradinas kind of need a little bit more specific setup, and typically from what I've seen get a little bit more attention paid to, like you mentioned, pH and the TDS being the two big things.
Yeah, for the Carradina, you want a TDS between 100 and 200. But for healthy Neos, you want, I think, 150 to 250. But, there's still measures that, some things will raise your TDS that may not necessarily be bad for the fish.
Right.
Too, so, but yeah. So Carradina, everything needs to be lower. Even the temperatures. For perfect ideal temperature for the Carradina is 62 to 76.
Mm-hmm.
The ideal temperature for the Neos is 65 to 80.
Yeah, and you can take them up as high as 84.
Yeah,
not recommending it, but my Blue Dreams breed out amazingly in 84 degrees, and they don't have any issues. They hold healthy. Not recommending it again, but you try and stick a Carradina in 84 degrees, and that thing's going to be done from what I've seen and experienced.
Yeah. I think what I was kind of going is the prime time for them to be having, offspring, for them to carry eggs and stuff. Because we've seen them go, you can have ice over the water and they'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
So, they can handle cold stuff too, but those are the two biggest, and I'm sure that like guys like Dansley, I don't know if he's here, but I mean, a whole lot of you guys are great at shrimp. So, and I mean, Priscilla's amazing too. I probably should have asked her if she wanted to come on and talk about it, but should frost those cookies. Yeah, well, I was at the grocery store today and I was going to buy some dye, but I don't want to digress off the sugar cookies. Right now, I want to make purple octopuses, gray sharks, and I think yellow angelfish. I can't believe I just did that. Okay. But so those are the biggest. I would tell most beginners to go Carradina.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Wouldn't you? Or do you?
No, I definitely agree with that.
I've heard of lines of Carradina that are just amazing and the hard stuff too. So you never know. But I would go with the Neos because they just seem to be so much easier. That's your common cherry shrimp. Does Lucas Brett sell any Carradina? It's
I don't think he does.
The Carradina are a lot of like the crystals. If you see crystal in the name, if you see kind of more fancy names.
Absolutely. I don't remember seeing any in his tanks with the last time we were up there. To answer that as best as I can. He may have some, and he of course could have gotten some since then. And he may have had some that I missed. He's got so many tanks up there, it's hard to take all of it in. But I don't recall seeing any Carradina while we were up there. Tim Carter, if you're still around, those are snail eggs. If not, I'll email you if I don't see it in here. Sorry, killing two birds with one stone there. He had sent me a picture of his shrimp tank and asked about some eggs, and they are snail eggs.
Yeah, the shrimp will keep their eggs underneath their tail until they hatch, and I think they'll keep them there even like little guys until they let them go.
Yep.
So
now I have seen, mentioned having Java moss in the tank with what I was sent. I have seen before where sometimes a new mother or even an older one that maybe isn't got a lot of time left, I've seen them lose their eggs in moss before, where they go through and the eggs fall out and they can't quite figure out how to get them back up inside. So that's when I saw that, hey, there's some eggs in this moss. Yeah, I've seen shrimp lose their eggs in moss before. It really happens more with hair algae. That's what I've seen the most.
Okay, and you see, I love putting Neos in every single one of my guppy tanks.
Oh, yes.
They like the hard water, so I have hard water for my guppies. The Neos do really well. I get common ones from my local fish store. So, I mean, they're really pretty from my local fish store, but he charges like $4.50 or $4 or $5, somewhere like that for them, and at Aquatic Aesthetics, and they just do great. I know that the shrimplets, the baby shrimp, are going to get eaten by my guppies, and that's fine because I want my guppies to have as much protein in their diet as possible. But I keep enough hiding spaces that the shrimp have plenty of places to keep, that they are going to keep doing, growing.
Right.
Every 30 days, they have another batch of shrimp. So, they can have 12 batches of shrimp in a year. Now, Neos and Carradina only live 1 to 2 years, so they don't live tremendously long. And then if you keep them in hot, like my top tanks, I say is the hot water, because that's all close to 80 right now. In the summertime, the whole room stays at 76, but right now it's going to be. I got a yo-yo loach just acting crazy.
I know.
See him going in circles?
I do.
Right. Oh, well. Okay. I'm actually going to be rehoming all my loaches in the next 2 days.
Oh, wow.
But in a different fish tank. Man, that yo-yo loach threw me off. But yeah, the shrimplets are just great for your babies to eat. Your shrimp, hot weather or hotter water will die quicker, but they'll grow quicker. It's the same way with the guppies. That's why I like to keep my fry on top to grow my guppies, my fry out quicker, and then more of my favorite fish down low. But is there anything else that you wanted to say? What do you like to feed your shrimp?
So I use the Extreme shrimp pellets. I know a big surprise for anybody that knows me that I'm recommending Extreme, but I absolutely love the shrimp sticks that they have. They hold together really well, and the shrimp, they really enjoy them. They really swarm those things when they go in the tank. Not that you have to get that, but that's what I recommend. Yep, that product right there, the Shrimpy, great stuff. Can't say enough good things about it. And I've, like you said, in terms of my thoughts on it, I put Carradinas in every tank, even if it's just, cherry shrimp, even if it's cold cherry shrimp. I just love having the shrimp in every tank to pick up the little scraps and kind of do their little cleaning thing, and they're fun to watch.
Now, do you feed in every tank this stuff, or is it just in shrimp tank alone?
I feed that in my shrimp tank alone / like my Blue Dream tank. Okay. Places that I like, I'm really specifically working on something. So like my orange Carradinas from Swiss Aquatics, I feed that in there. My yellow Neos, I've got a tank that's got a different line that I'm working on making. I feed that in there. But, having shrimp in pretty much every tank, I don't go and add shrimp pellets to every tank. I just let them, scavenge up flakes and stuff like that. My cherries that I'm specifically breeding high quality, culling the, not good ones out of there, I do drop the shrimp sticks in with them. But if it's just if it's a guppy tank that happens to have shrimp in it, I don't add the shrimp pellets usually, or the shrimpy sticks.
Gotcha. I do have, I pretty much don't feed any of my shrimp unless it's a shrimp tank only.
Right.
Because their job is to eat my leftovers from my guppies, because I overfeed my guppies. I do it on purpose. And that's why I have shrimp to help clean. I also have snails to help clean. But I do have my LRBs. I probably should be feeding them those, even though they're in with a bunch of guppies and some cory cats. But, I do drop these in for my cory cats every day, and I also drop a couple bloodworms. So the cory cats are going to eat the bloodworms first, and I've seen the shrimp on the cory cat pellets. So I guess they get a different type of pellet in that tank. Never really thought about it. But, yeah, guys, if you haven't done shrimp, they are so much fun to watch. If I had an office job, I would have a little tank on my desk, and I'd probably get fired because I'd be watching them all. They're so much fun. I have a tank that's got Priscilla's emerald greens, and it's got water lettuce and it's got these giant roots, and they just go right up and down it, and they look like Tarzan going up and down. I just love that. But let's talk about probably a shrimp that doesn't get enough love, but it's an amazing shrimp, is the Amano shrimp.
Oh, yeah, they're a wonderful shrimp.
Amanos are like the super of shrimp. They can handle just about anything. I put 3 Amanos in one of my guppy tanks, and I was able to pull them out this summer. Like when I drained the tank, they were crawling on the bottom. And that's when I also found all the dragonfly nymphs, but the Amano shrimp weren't bothered by the dragonfly nymphs, so that was cool. They're cool guys. They can handle a wide variety of pH from 6.0 to 8.0. Their temps 70 to 80. I think they can handle just about anything. I guess it can't get too hot. But their lifespan is 2 to 3 years, so you're almost doubling your lifespan from the Neos and the Carradina. And the TDS, man, they can handle anything in TDS. They can go from 80 to 450. So, I mean, they're just like little tanks, but they eat the algae so good. I've got a couple of tanks, and whenever I see a tank with a lot of hair algae, I'll drop them in there. And I'll pull them. They also jump. Have you ever been moving them and had them jump on you?
Sorry, I was catching up on an email, if I'm being perfectly honest with you.
It's all right. Well, I'll catch them with the shrimp net, and you've got to put your hand over the shrimp net, or they will spring straight up.
Yes, absolutely.
And, I mean, the Amanos, they can jump like 4 feet. I don't know. It's just like crazy. It's like a tick or something. So, but I love Amano shrimp. They're just like the perfect nice guy fish shrimp there is. But, okay, so there's that. And then we'll talk about all these once we're done. But another shrimp that's super cool is the bamboo shrimp. These are the guys that have the little hands, and they need a tank with some flow so they can just pull the particles out of the water. They're super fun. They kind of gross me out because they're kind of gross looking also. I don't know if that's not very fair, but they're so much weirder than a normal shrimp. They kind of look like I don't know. Maybe in a little bit while things pop what they look like. But they get pretty big also. They'll get about 2 to 3 inches. Oh, I don't know, not 3 inches, but maybe about 2 inches. Yeah. They get pretty good size. They have a lifespan of 2 years. Their TDS is pretty good, 20 to 30. Or, no, not 20, 100 to 300. Gallon tanks, you need to have them in a little bigger tank. They need to be in a 20-plus tank. Probably because they really need a lot of particles to eat. So, there's that. And then my 5th and final group of shrimp, ones that don't get enough love whatsoever, they're dirt sheep. Oh, I see somebody saying that they like ghost shrimp. That's what I was going to say. Ghost shrimp, glass fish, or glass shrimp, or grass shrimp. They go by a lot of different names, but you can find them in our waters, like right here, pretty much all the way down. Whoops. I just got Gina French's, I think, address or something.
Yep.
Except now it's over my chat.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean for it to pop up over your chat. I was sending it while I had it right at hand. My apologies.
It's okay. Hopefully I didn't delete it. Okay. So, but you can find them. They're right here in America. Pretty much down the Appalachians all the way to the coast, all the way down to Florida. They can handle a wide variety of pH from 6.5 all the way to 8. The temperature range, now, it's all over the place because, I mean, they live in the wild. For them to do it, from what I've seen, the best to try to get them to have babies, you want it at about 76 to 78. But they can go up to 82, and I bet they can go higher if they're in our native waters. But they can go all the way down to having ice on top of the water. So
yeah, they've got an awesome temperature range.
They have a very short lifespan of 1 year.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, that's the bummer. But they're pretty cool. You got to be careful though when you get them at the fish store, because a lot of them have worms. Yeah. Bob Kaler and I were at a fish store in Knoxville, and they said because Bob was going to buy him for his Fahaka puffer. I think it was his Fahaka. She wasn't eating, so he thought he would try to get her some of the, and he got her a couple here in Chattanooga, but they only had a few, so he bought them out, and she ate them. So that was wonderful. But when we went to Knoxville to get them, he said, "You don't want them," and this thing going to sound terrible, but he broke one in half, and it had a tapeworm in it that was 3 inches long. And so, they're 35 cents a piece, but you don't want to get one with a tapeworm to feed your fish. So, that's something you got to look at. But you can see the tapeworms in them, because like if you feed those guys, it's better if you have like green flake. But if I drop this in there, you would see this from head to tail as it goes through. You can see the tapeworm because they got a clear body and it looks like a white line that goes through it. You would think it's intestines or something, but it's that worm up and down inside of its gullet or whatever. So something to look for. If you're going to buy them, make sure they're clear. No white stripes going through them. It's not food. The food look at whatever the food that they're feeding the fish. That's going to be what color it's going to be. It's not going to be a white thing. So, but I would like to do a tank of ghost shrimp. I think that'd be pretty neat. But I'd like to find them here in Tennessee, because I think that'd be pretty neat.
Yep.
Get some Tennessee ghost shrimp or rice or grass shrimp, whatever they're called. But those were, I think, the 5 big shrimp that I could think of. There's prawns. Down in Florida, they say there's a Florida shrimp. And Priscilla was pointing out that that's not a shrimp, it's a prawn, because they had really big little pinchers. All these shrimp don't have pinchers. Your bamboos got these, but they don't have these giant claw things.
So Whisker Shrimp is another one that they're really close to the ghost shrimp or the grass shrimp, but they've got a lot longer pincers, if you will. They're about the same size. I have found they're a lot more aggressive in terms of trying to cannibalize other shrimp and even small fish, predating on fry and things of that nature. But they're a neat little shrimp.
Now, is that a shrimp, or would that actually be a little prawn?
It may be a little prawn. I know they're always labeled as Whisker Shrimp.
Okay.
In the pet stores or at fish swaps and things like that.
Awesome. Oh, I'm going to have to look for those. I don't think I've ever paid attention to them.
I picked some up at the Big Fish Deal, and then I've seen them a couple other places.
Awesome.
So Freshwater Canucks was asking, Ed, how can I get my pH to stay in lower ranges?
So he's trying to bring it down.
Correct.
I would put some wood in there.
Yep.
Platanicals are wonderful for bringing that stuff down. You just got to be careful that it doesn't turn your tanks to tea.
Right.
I would say boil it for a few minutes, and your water will turn. It looks like you're making coffee, and that's what you want. Pour it out. Do it again, and it'll just suck the tea out. Then you throw that in there, and that should help. Or you can also do, if you're in a state that allows you to collect rainwater, throw some rainwater in there. I heard. Here's one that people always wince at, like they don't know if they should do it or not. Water from the dehumidifier.
Mm-hmm.
They used to make dehumidifiers 20 years ago with copper.
Right.
The copper is so expensive, they aren't putting copper in it, but I've also heard there could be like zinc in it. So that's, some other types of metals that you don't want in your tank. But some people have no problem with it. I heard Danny from Danikin Aquatics, she was doing that, and it works great for her. So I ought to ask her what type of dehumidifier she uses.
There you go. Yeah, I've definitely heard, people having success with it, but then a lot of cautionary tales, not just from the metals potentially, but also from, you got to figure, any type of airborne spores, any type of chemicals that you're spraying in the air, things of that nature that can end up in there. So just to keep that in mind. Catappa leaves, maybe. Yeah, that's another one you could use. But I'm with you there. Hardwood, wow. Driftwood and botanicals will definitely help. Rainwater's great too.
This will drop the pH. So any botanical, anything that was plant life that's dead will drop it.
Absolutely. And of course, we've got awesome people like Merdula Singh and John Cox throwing their helpful tips in there. I mentioned aqua soils, peat moss, tannins, decaying plant matter, rainwater, and wood leaves, peat moss to lower pH. Mr. Fisher says, how do you set up a shrimp tank? So if I'm setting up a tank specific to shrimp, I like to have a lot of plant matter in there. I usually will do either a lot of Java moss or guppy grass to give them lots of surface area, if you will, to kind of graze off of. I like to do some woodscape to get a good biofilm on. But generally speaking, I'm always thinking surface area. How much surface area can I get into that tank via wood or plants to give them as much area to graze on as possible? Sorry, buddy, go ahead.
No, you were talking about the substrates.
Yep, absolutely.
And so this one will definitely do it. The flugel stratum, and they have it right there on the side. pH down. Sorry.
No, you're good. You are good. So Matt Poole says, Ed, I've got a 100-gallon Rubbermaid water trough. Ideas for breeding for profit.
Oh, man. Well, and who is this?
This is Matt Poole.
And where's Matt Poole live? I'm sorry,
Matt. I'm not sure. I think he's a newer name to us. So I'm not entirely sure where he lives at.
I apologize, Matt. I'm not for sure where you live, but I would definitely go to your local fish store and ask. You can always say, hey, is there anything that you definitely want to buy? And this is for store trade, and if, your fish store has to pay salaries, electric bill, rent, mortgage, whatever. You can't sell a guppy. If they sell a guppy for $7, they're not going to give you $7 for your guppy. They're probably going to give you maybe $1 or $2, whatever. And it might even be in store trade because they got to keep their store open. So don't get upset at your local fish store for trying to keep a profit. People get mad at pawn shops for doing the same thing, and it's like It's just the only way to keep things going. You can also go on Get Gills if you've got something that you think. Go on Get Gills, look around, and see what's out there, and don't pick that stuff. Pick something that's not on there.
Right.
So, like if I see 8 people with blue Moscows, I got blue-green Moscows in this. I can't see it in this tank right here. If I see 8 people on there selling them, and why do I want to try to sell those on Get Gills for $10 a piece if other people are selling them for $10 a piece? Because then it's just a name thing, or I got red Moscows there. But if I see nobody has green Moscows or yellow, try to do something that you don't see out there all the time. You can do that. I think that's great, but I'd also go plants. Now, another thing you got to think about, though, is what's going to lay their eggs on those plants. Because you don't want to sell plants to somebody that's got a, big old dragonfly nymph. So you may want to cover it. You may want to buy mosquito baits. You may want to treat it. Oh, go ahead.
I would just say, to open up the world of opportunity, Matt says he's in Illinois, but the pond is in his house. So it's inside. So that opens up a whole world of opportunity there.
Yeah, man. Oh, man. I'd have so much fun with that.
Yeah.
Do something you like. If it's in your house, make sure, because this is year round. The nice thing about summer tubbing is it's only 6 months, and next year you get to pick something new. So But if it's going to be in your house, make sure it's something you like. I would probably go with a guppy that has a metallic top to it. So that way they look so neat swimming at the top, and I mean, everybody loves them. When your friends come over, they're going to be like, these are the neatest guppies ever. Because, I mean, they might look like purple tuxedos right now in my fish tank. I've got some. They don't look like much, but when you look straight down on them, fantastic.
Yep.
So, yeah, I would do something like that, especially if it's in your house, because you want people to go, ooh, sweet. And it's really fun when you throw that flake in there, because somebody will grab the biggest flake and they all chase that guy, and there's millions of flakes. But it's really neat when they've got that glow in the dark top, or that top that's metallic that shines and glows. So that's what I would do.
I'm right there with you. My suggestion, and the people that have been around for a while probably know I'm going to go with this. It's actually a trio. There's going to be more than 3 things even. But I'm going to say a really nice guppy or Endler. Either go with, if you're going to sell them yourself online, a really nice line like Ed talked about. If you're wanting to sell to your local fish store, I would actually do a fancy guppy or mutt guppy pond. Because local fish stores typically aren't looking for a specific line of guppies, just because the price is higher, and a lot of people going into pet stores are going to look and go, why do they want $20 for this pair of guppies? And B, local fish stores have a really hard time finding a reliable source for quality fancy guppies. So I would, depending upon where you're wanting to sell, pick one of those. I would then also do some Carradinas. I mean, you've got a 100-gallon pond here. So if it's me, I'm going to have a guppy or Endler. I'm going to have whatever color of Carradina you think would do well or go in there, even if it's just cherry shrimp. And then I'm going to have bristlenose Plecos in there. Doesn't have to be your standards. You could do blue-eyed lemons. You could do a super red. And then I'm going to have a plant in there, because not only is that plant going to help keep all those babies alive and keep those shrimp safe, maybe guppy grass, Java moss. Java moss can take a long time to fill up that much tank, or tub rather, but you could do guppy grass, some type of plant. So you've got those 4 things. You've got 2 types of fish, the shrimp and a plant, and you can make all of those things breeding for profit.
Yeah, that's great. I like all that. Maybe a corridor if you don't want to do bristlenose.
You could, yeah. Absolutely. The only reason, and I've not really had this issue, but I know it definitely can happen, is the cories predating on shrimplets.
Yep.
Not that your guppies can't predate on shrimplets, but I tend to find if there's enough plant coverage, you don't have a huge problem, and in that much water, probably going to be fine. But if you've got shrimp that are hanging out around the bottom a lot, and you've got cories hanging out around the bottom a lot, you might see additional predation.
I would put also a plant, do guppy grass or water sprite or something, because then you'll be constantly getting the plants. They're going to clean the water, and you'll be able to sell the plants to the fish store. Now, the one thing, though, is your fish stores are going to get tired of the same plant forever, because eventually they don't need that much, because once everybody gets it in the area, they got it. I mean, there's always some people that are going to kill the plants, but plants are one thing that does pretty well.
Absolutely. And honestly, a lot of times you will see local fish stores kind of carry the same variety of plants. And it's going to vary area to area. But there are certain things that are just kind of a staple to the hobby, if you will. So kind of look at that and talk to your local fish store. If you're going to, go about going through them and say, hey, like Ed mentioned, what are you interested in? What's something you can't keep in? Typically everywhere you go, Java moss is one of those things you can't keep in stock. Guppy grass in our area is a big one that people absolutely love.
Yeah, and talk to your fish store owners. I mean, if they're smart, they're going to be friendly and nice and helpful. And there's no reason to be shy of them. Let them know who you are and what you want to do, so they have an idea of And if they're creeps, find a different fish store.
Right. So, excuse me. Freshwater Canucks was saying, wondering how low pH Java moss or maybe some floaters can take. and then saying green jades or blue dreams, can't decide, LOL. If you're looking at something to breed for profit, or you're looking at something to keep a straight line, blue dreams are going to be a lot easier. Most green jades, the line is not super straight. And even the best lines of green jade, you're going to have a lot more work maintaining a green jade than you will if you just get a good blue dream. So if you're looking for something that's not going to be nearly as much work to keep the line straight, I would definitely recommend blue dreams.
And I'm going to tell you one thing that I did with my green jades that was not smart was I've got 2 of my shrimp tanks have tannins and 2 don't. Tannins are really pretty and stuff, but not for your green jades because it's hard for me to see them. I wish I would have went with tannins for like a red or something bright like a yellow.
Right.
But blacks and greens and dark blues are tough to see in the.
Absolutely.
Yep. Let's see. Got Java moss needs.
Java moss is a very popular thing, and like even Corey of Co-op has mentioned, it's hard to get Java moss in enough quantity. That's one of those things. He said he would buy it nonstop if he had somebody that could supply quality Java moss.
Those are 2 tanks of giant Java moss tanks, and then below I'm slowly getting my Java moss growth getting good.
Awesome. Yeah, John Cox says, Fisherman Fever, the Java moss mat has doubled in size since I got it from you. It's been growing very fast for me. I'm glad to hear it, John. That is awesome. And again, I appreciate the order. I'm glad to hear it's doing well for you. I love that stuff.
I have 2 of my 5 gallons weight up there. It's really weird because I'm pointing across the room, but these 2 have those mats, and I don't know if you can see the little bit of moss coming up as I point to the screen. The 2 far ones, I want to try to order 9 of those Java moss mats from James because they are amazing.
I'm working on getting supply or stock up for the springtime when we open everything back up. Somebody had mentioned a wonderful idea talking about rock piles for the shrimplets. I know some people advise against the rock piles, but I am a huge fan of that. And I actually just use lava rock, so you don't have to go through a lot of expense to buy quality aquarium rock, if you will, and then break it up into rubble piles or anything. Get your bag of lava rock, rinse it out, and I use that for my piles for my shrimplets.
Yep, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I do like the rock piles myself too. But Rob from Flips Aquatics, the guy who gave me this shirt, he doesn't believe in the piles. Now, he's not breeding his fish, he's bringing them in. He brings in high quality. So I think that's where it differs. Is a guy like LRB is breeding all of his own. So LRB needs those shrimplets to have a place to hide and grow. Rob, he doesn't like the piles because if one dies, he's afraid of ammonia spikes. So, Rob is still going to be for breeding shrimp, but so that that he was the one who played the devil's advocate on that. Was he's afraid of the shrimp dying underneath. Shrimp, I don't know if you guys have ever seen how quick they can eat their husk. Like after they shed, you don't normally see them because they eat them so quick. They're going to eat the dead shrimp too. I know that sounds terrible, but if there's a dead shrimp under the rocks, I think the shrimp are going to pound it and eat it down. Shrimp pretty much eat anything that's not alive.
Right.
And it sounds gross to think that they're that type of cannibals, but that's okay. Well, Priscilla says he breeds them too. He just doesn't like rock piles. But so that's your give and take. And
absolutely.
I think I'd go with the rock piles just because I think I'm not worried about an ammonia spike.
And I'm right there with you. Not that he's wrong and we're right, or vice versa. Just different strokes for different folks.
Rob is awesome.
Tim Carter and Mike's Aquatics and things both saying their mats are growing like crazy too for the Java moss. I'm glad to hear it. You all, I try and make sure that everybody gets nice, happy, healthy stuff that's going to do well for them. So I'm glad you're enjoying it.
They handle low light. They're a low light moss.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you know that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. So, like most of the lighting that I have over my Java Moss is the Amazon LED shop lights that I did a video on.
Mhm.
So it's not a super fancy light. It's not a planted tank specific light. It's just a light, and like you said, it does really well with low light. So
I love it. I've got some other low light mosses that aren't doing as well under the same lights. That's I want to get those into a brighter tank just because I just see them dying off. Kind of a bummer.
Carol Cox says, "What do you know about black rose shrimp? I know that LRB has a wonderful line of the black shrimp. Excuse me, I've got some of those, and they are gorgeous. It's a really nice strain. I will say it's hard to get like a pure black, depending upon your lighting, because of the colors that go into making it. But they're a beautiful shrimp, and I think if you can find a good quality line of black rose, definitely go for it."
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of black shrimp. I just think they look like bugs too much. I
I
know
don't
that's
blame you.
goofy, but they don't look as much like shrimp.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't disagree with you there.
But that's just me. So, uh, what else was I going to say? James, what do you keep your temperature of your shrimp?
So mine vary. I mean, I most of my tanks are house heated. I don't have heaters in the majority of things. So most of my stuff right now, with it being a little bit cooler, is staying anywhere from 76 to 80. But again, my Blue Dreams are in with my Zebra Plecos, which run 82, 84, 85. So, and they do just fine. I haven't had die off from heat or anything like that. They've bred out amazingly well. They've multiplied like crazy since I got them home. But if I'm going to give a recommendation, um, mid to upper 70s is probably your sweet spot, if you will, in terms of not burning them out. Because the warmer you keep shrimp, I lost how I was going to phrase that. The more they will breed, but it's going to shorten their lifespan. So that's kind of a sweet spot of getting some nice reproduction out of them, in terms of making more babies while not burning them out too quickly and killing them too prematurely.
That's where I try to keep mine also. So that makes me feel better. That's
Yep.
always now, James. You have sold fish to your local fish store, or
Oh,
got
yes.
shrimp to your local fish
Yep.
store.
Yep.
Now, we won't say what fish store, but can you is it store credit or how did that work?
Yeah, so I always do store credit. I figure I'm going to spend the money there. And generally speaking, you have to figure you're going to get a better offer / an offer at all if you're looking at store credit, because they know the money's coming back to them. And so that just makes sense from a business perspective. But yeah, I always go in, it's store credit, and that's kind of the standard. You have some places that will offer you cash, but you can usually expect less cash than you would get store credit. So case in point, you mentioned pawn shops earlier. You might be able to go into a pawn shop with something and say, "Hey, I have this saw I'd like to sell you." And they say, "Well, we can give you $50 cash, or we can give you $70 store credit," because the money is coming back to them. But I look at, like somebody mentioned in here, 25% of what the retail price is, usually 25 to 30-ish percent. I never expect any more than that, because there's kind of like a rule of thirds a lot of times with the fish store hobby. You've got a third of it's going to their actual price they're paying for their fish to come in. A third of the money they have is going for their business expenses. And then a third of the money is just going to maintaining it, keeping the water and the food and all that type of stuff. So, if you go into your local fish store and like, "Hey, I want to trade in some fish," and then it's a $10 tetra, they're selling it for $10 on the tank, and they say, "Well, we'll give you, $250 a fish for it." Don't go, "Oh, well, you're selling them for $10." There's got to be, you got to understand, like Ed mentioned, their expenses and things that come into account, plus what they're buying the fish for. They're not buying the fish for $10. Why are they going to give you $7 for a fish they're getting from the wholesaler for $3? So trying to kind of come in right below their wholesaler, is usually, a nice place to be at. to where you're going, hey, I can offer you these locally. Maybe you're paying $2 a piece for them now. The $1.75 a piece for me times however, especially when you get into quantity. So if you're walking in, you're going, hey, I've got 200 cherry shrimp for you today. Make me an offer, and we'll take this in store credit.
That's awesome. And that works the same for guppies or anything, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. And plants are kind of the same thing. So like if I walk in with a big bag of plants, or local fish store, calls me or sends me a message saying, hey, we need some of this plant. I don't go in there going, well, I need some cash. It's store credit. I'm going to buy stuff there anyways. It's my local fish store. They've got stuff that I want. So I'll go in and I'll bring in a big bag of whatever plant it may be and hand it over and say, well, you know what are you thinking? And that's usually my thing. So I'm a very passive guy in terms of like bargaining, if you will. So I'm like, well, what are you thinking? And they'll say, well, we'll offer you this. And usually I'm like, okay, that's fine. If it's reasonable, and it's always been reasonable. So generally I'll kind of look and I'll go, well, how about this Pleco over here or whatever, can we swap for that? I know you said, like, for example, this is $50 worth of stuff. That Plecos marked at $65, but I know you've got some markup on it. So it kind of is one of those, oh yeah, that's fine, because we've got added markup that makes it $65 when really we paid $20 for it or $40 for it or whatever. Something like that.
So you're saying once you've like gone to you've started dealing, you've already started trading, maybe you can try to also talk them down a little bit on the trade-in.
Yeah, something like that. I don't ever, let me make sure I clarify this well. I don't ever want to haggle with them.
You're right.
It kills me when people walk into a fish store. And we talked about this with Kenny from Aquatic Marine when he was on. Don't go into your fish store and say, hey, you've got this fish marked at $25. I'll give you 20 for it. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm recommending. Please don't do that. That's just frustrating for the fish store owner. But
I did. If you're already opening a line of business,
right? I've opened a line of business, and what I'm looking at is, okay, if you're offering me a wholesale cost, and then I'm paying you a retail price for what I'm getting on the trade, there's kind of a middle ground. You see what I'm saying? So if you say, well, this is $50 worth of plants, you're going to sell it for, we'll say $150 worth of plants, because you're giving me a third of the value. You're giving me a wholesale price. So I'm looking going, well, you're going to sell it for $150. You're going to sell this fish for $60. So there's a $10 difference in what we're looking at. But realistically, it's still, I'm giving you, you're going to sell $150 worth of product, and you're going to give me a $65 fish for it. So if you get what I'm saying there. But yeah, like I said, there's a line of business already established and a good relationship. So it's not like I'm trying to talk them down on anything. I'll just say, well, what do you think about this? And like, oh, yeah, that's fine. And I never try and go anything stupid with it. So case in point, if it's $150 worth of plants on their end of what they're selling, and they're offering me $50, I'm not going to say, well, how about this $150, lionfish or whatever? That's apples to oranges. I'm not going to do that.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah, a little bit of wiggle room. Most places are fine, especially once you've established rapport with somebody.
So I need to figure out a plant to sell Kenny to get enough of it to him to eventually get an L330.
There you go. Guppy Grass.
Okay, that's the goal. Well, I wasn't going to say it out loud.
I don't know. Guppy Grass is my plant of the night, in case you haven't noticed.
But very cool. Okay. Well, that's really neat. And then you also can get food and hardware.
So a lot of times, and it depends on the store. So some stores may give you store credit, overall store credit. Some places may give you livestock credit. And so it's not good on dry goods or whatever.
Right.
Because there's a different profit margin and a whole different set of business and stuff like that goes into it. So a lot of times it's going to be like a livestock credit maybe versus a general store credit, but it varies store to store. So you just kind of need to talk to them about those things, at the beginning. and just clarify. So if they say, yeah, we'll give you $20 credit for this, just say, is that overall store credit? Is it, or does that include dry goods, or is it just, livestock and plants, things of that nature?
Yeah, make sure you make that clear, because like, let's say you want to build $400 to get a BioCube. Make sure you make it clear to them that you're going to keep going, until you can get your BioCube in a couple of years or a year or two.
Absolutely.
Make sure that they're going to give you the BioCube.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Uh-oh. Let's see. It looks like Geek Boy is also looking for a big L330. I love them. Just for you guys that don't know what the L330 is, it's the watermelon Pleco, and it's quickly become my favorite Pleco because I love how it looks like a watermelon. I love that. I know, but if I get one, I want James to keep it. He's the Pleco guy, and I'm not the Pleco guy. So
you come over and pet it and visit it whenever you want.
Yeah, I get to name the Pleco. That one. But there's a lot of neat Plecos out there. I love the blue Phantoms, green Phantoms. I love the vampire Plecos. And then James has the coveted zebra Pleco. And it is incredibly probably the most beautiful Pleco of them all. And it never gets too big, but I unfortunately am probably too cheap to ever have those.
Well, hopefully we can get some breeding going. That's the end goal there.
Yeah, but honestly, I would rather you sell those and then like buy yourself a new car or something instead of giving me a baby.
So Priscilla MK says, if you buy frozen food with your store credit, your fish store will love you. And then a big laughy face.
Jeepers, that's all I do is buy frozen food, it seems like. That's super cool. Well, was there any other questions about guppies? I haven't seen them.
I have not. Now it is 12:30 Eastern time. Okay. That is. I do want to say Dave mentioned earlier he's taking the week off. He will not be streaming tonight. So normally we'd send y'all over to Dave's Query of Thoughts, but he is not going to be streaming tonight. I hope you enjoy the week off, Dave. I know sometimes it's much needed. So enjoy it, my friend.
Yep. And Dave is super cool.
He is super cool. I think we're pretty well caught up. I've seen some questions and things or comments and things go by really, but a lot of great conversation within the chat itself. Of course, we got 67 people watching and 79 thumbs up. So you all are awesome for that. We do appreciate it.
Yep. I'm having a tough time reading. I've got a migraine coming on. So I have I'm starting to lose vision in one eye. So I'm having a kind of a tough time focusing. Sorry, guys. But maybe we should wrap it up. I hate to do that, but
absolutely. Well, I'm going to answer one question real quick, if I may. But yeah, I'm kind of right there at the verge of myself. But Tim Carter says, "What's the numbers mean on the Plecos? Like the Gold Nugget has 3 to 4 different numbers. So the L number, example, L333, like you mentioned, the watermelon Pleco. The L is actually for Loricaridae, which is their scientific name for the Plecos in general. The reason they did that is they were finding them so quickly they couldn't get them described fast enough, so they started numbering them, and you end up with a lot of fish that have different L numbers because they were found in different locations. So maybe they're going down the Xingu River and they find this Pleco and they say, okay, well, this is number L186, and then they get to a different area and where they're like, well, this might be an L186, but it's from a different area. The water's a little different. It may have some different coloration because the diet's a little different. So we're going to, now we're up to number 204. So we're going to call it a 204 because there are so many of them. And it's gotten the same way with the Corridorus that they have, that numbering system with them as well. You don't hear it referenced nearly as often as you hear it with the Plecos and the L numbers. But that's where that came from, is they'd find it. They're finding them faster than they could get them scientifically described. So they started the L number system. So you may have something that's found, 10 miles apart. It's actually the same fish because it's possibly different. It's in a different collection point, they got a different L number to them.
Yep. And eventually they'll have a name.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike Squatics and things are saying, thanks to the 7 new subs to Ed's channel. Absolutely. Wow. Thank you all. Really appreciate that.
You know what? I've got a couple of questions. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, it's a little not lost, but yeah, we can still hear you.
I wanted to show off these guppies because I'm going to try to show off a different guppy every week really quick. These are LRB's red platinums, Dumbo platinums. Mm-hmm. And this is like one corner of the 20 long. And of course, they probably are all on the other side, but you can see a few of them. Yep. They're a super pretty little guy. I really like them. Somebody was asking about a good fancy red, bright red. Maybe next week I'll try to figure out how to put on my bright reds. I don't know if they're red enough for someone. I mean, I guess I could try to put my camera up there if you guys want to see them really quick. But I got these at Prestige Aquatics, the red ones, and they're pretty nice. These I got at LRB. They're my Dumbos, Dumbo Platinums, and they're doing very good right now. I'm very happy. There's a lot of fry. They're really doing well. So everything from LRB does really well. John Cox asked, what guppies don't eat their fry? Well, I can guarantee the Mob Guppy, Swordtail Guppy, does not eat its fry. I now have 3 tanks of his swordtails, and I think I'm going to, once it gets warm enough, I'm going to start probably shipping them out as like gifts, like on the stream. They do kind of match my beard. Thank you, BJ. But so the swordtails do not eat their fry. They go crazy not eating them. Oh boy, look at them. They're all chasing that poor girl right there. And also everybody says albinos eat their fry like crazy. I have a whole ton of LRBs, Galaxy albinos. They do not eat their fry. So some do, some don't. It's just kind of hit or miss. I have 2 different tanks of Nebula Steel, my own that almost completely crashed, that's pretty much stabilized, and now I have quite a few. But I also have a whole bunch from Mississippi Hippie, and both of them don't eat their fry. So you'll see tons of fry in there. Unfortunately, like the Moscows, it seems like whatever Moscow you have, they eat their fry. It's kind of a bummer. This tank that you're looking at right now, the fryer on the other side gets a little darker. They've been doing pretty well. I haven't had to separate them. But, and then I've got, I was talking about earlier, my purple tuxedos. They have a metallic head. They don't seem to eat their fry either. But, I keep these things fed really well. James, would it be all right if I tried to show off my red ones real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, hopefully nobody gets seasick.
Don't drop me. Don't drop me.
Wait, it's like wrapped around the cable. Okay, there we go. There's just give you a little idea of the fish room. And they are up here. These guys aren't super, well, there's a lot of females right there. Let's try to find some boys. There's a boy way in the back. You see the boy? He's kind of turned sideways.
A beautiful fish.
Yeah, but I mean, still, these guys are pretty neat little guys. I like them a lot. Prestige Aquatics. I didn't clean the snails off the front of this tank. Unfortunately, folks. Let's see if we can see some fry in this moss. Well, okay, there's some fry. But so yeah, these are my reds. But okay, guys. I don't want to show everything. These are my blue-green Moscows.
Those are looking great. Lots of fry in there.
Yeah, look at this boy right here.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, I think I don't know if I've just been feeding them too much or what, but they're not eating their fry, so that's a good thing. And you know what? I'll show you my favorites right here. These are my Japanese blue tails. I love these guys.
Oh, amazing dorsals on that line.
Yeah. These guys are probably my favorite. Got a lot of fry in here. I've got another 40 fry growing out in the little tanks. I got some zebra loaches in there. Should probably stand in front so you don't see all the reflection. Ooh, I tapped it and they all took off. Where'd it go? But oh well. So that's a little bit of the fish room. We'll spin it around. Hopefully you all don't get sick. It goes 3 down. This is my mud tank. I love those gold band loaches are super pretty. They look like yo-yos, but they're like gold. They're pretty neat. Let's see if I can find one of Haley's. One of Haley's baby bristlenose. This is Haley from Oddball Aquatics. See, he's eating a wafer right there.
Beauty.
There's another one sucking on the wafer over here. These snails always like, as soon as they see me, they fall over dead. They play possum. But he was like probably eating on that with him. And he saw me come over and he just rolled over dead. Those are the giant rabbit snails. And these guys do not eat their fry. I'll show you them real quick. I've got 3 tanks of these. Uh-oh, a lot of glare. But these are Swordtail Guppies. Boy, I wish I need to get a better camera or something. Sorry, folks. But you can they keep packing these. They have so many babies, I don't know what to do with them. I've just got too many.
Lots of comments on the beautiful fish and the blues. Definitely love the blues. Fantastic. Fish Friends was saying, where can I see a current stock list? I want some fishies. It is not currently selling fish that I'm aware of, but I think we could definitely talk them into it in the future.
These are the father fish guys. Let's see. You need to turn it a little bit so I can see the monitor. Oh, there they are. Kenny is going to get some of these tank in as he caught them with James. Sorry about the reflection, guys. Wasn't quite planning to do this. But yeah, okay, so. Oh, and then also in here with the baby Plecos are my goodiots. And let's see if I can find a pretty boy, because these guys are amazing. Oh, the light may not be as good. Oh, you can see a little red. They have like a bright red and blue on their tails.
Oh, yeah, very nice.
See if I can get rid of the monitor. But yeah, and they're not afraid of anything, so. They're a really pretty fish in like real life. And like I was saying that I've got this tank filled with swordtails. This tank is filled with swordtails. Well, a lot of these plants in front are all going to be pulled and put into my 125 tomorrow. So I've been just kind of letting it grow out of control.
Right.
But okay, guys, I'm going to unplug this and then we'll go to my normal screen.
Oh, Ed is gone. We are back. He'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, appreciate you all hanging out here tonight on the Nocturnal Feeding Show, feeding your late night hobby hunger. And there's our buddy right there.
Yep. So, yep, that was awesome. I liked what you were saying there. Ah. Oh, I should have showed off Nico too. He would have loved that. He just ran out as soon as I pulled the plug and he took off. He's probably like, "Oh, we're gonna have snacks."
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you everybody. And of course, I can't see the chat because that always disappears whenever I switch cameras.
Right.
But thank you everybody for coming this week. It's always a lot of fun. Thank you, Mod. You guys are all amazing. And thank you, James, for having a lot of fun. I wish I could hang out with James. So much fun.
Same, buddy. Same.
But
all right.
Yes, we'll catch you all. Well, tomorrow I'll be on with Lefty, 4:15. And we just talk about goofy stuff on the Lefty. I don't know what his numbers are, but
3213A.
Nice. Wow, I'm impressed. And then also I'll be with James again on Saturday.
Absolutely.
For the Saturday Night Live.
We're going to try to have a special guest that day.
Oh, cool.
We'll see.
And then I'll be hanging out with Diego on Tuesday at 8 o'clock Central, or 8 o'clock Eastern. My whole life I've been saying Central, and now I'm an East Coast guy. It's crazy. But thank you everybody for showing up. I'm trying to pop up the chat quick, and it's probably not going to happen. Oh, it did. This is for Tom Patterson. I'll see you guys all next week.